What is up, y'all? It is your boy Winston Wolf. I'm back. I just want to do a quick review. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Let me just first say, remember the first time you saw Venom? By the way, there's a fan blowing in the background. I'm not going to shut it off. It's way too hot in here. Remember the first time you saw Venom? Remember the first time you saw Batman? Remember the first time you saw Spider-Man himself when you were a little itty-bitty boy? The first time you saw The Punisher, all these people, you instantly fell in love with them. You didn't need this 20-year incubation brainwashing period like they've done with Miles Morales. Now, having said that, we all accept Miles Morales. We all love him. But with them to try to keep doing it, it's just diluting Spider-Man. It's just riding off the wave that Peter Parker put in work for over, 60 years or something like that. And I don't like it. I just think it's lame. I just think we already got Miles Morales. You were lucky to have us accept that. Just stop with the Spider-Gwen stuff, stop all that. So having said that, you already know how I feel about this movie, and I hate always saying bad stuff about movies. That's why I'm looking forward to Flash coming out. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was awesome. If you haven't seen it, go see it. But I think that's the only two good things we're going to get this year probably, besides Oppenheimer. I'm talking about superhero wise. Is gonna be Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Flash, because this ain't it. This ain't it. If you say this is it, that's cool. I wish I was easily entertained as you. That's great. Good for you. I'm sure a pinwheel entertains you for hours on end. That's nice. But this was a movie made by committee, Sony's committee, and like I was saying before, it's just people talking about the last good. Isn't it ironic that the last good Marvel movie before Guardians of the Galaxy was the Spider-Man movie, and it was a Sony movie? It was only good because of Marvel was involved in it. And I know Marvel has been batting zero pretty much since Endgame, but, they're putting out so much stuff, but the law of averages, they're going to hit on something. And especially if you have Tom Holland in it, come on. So I don't want to hear that Sony is doing good now. Have you seen the behind-the-scenes footage of Kraven the Hunter? Did you watch Morbius? All memes aside, did you watch Morbius? Okay, so there you go. This is following in the long tradition of Sony having no idea what they're doing with the Spider-Man property. But for most of the movie, there's a core group of Spider people in this. And it's Spider-Punk, I don't know if that's his name, but the punk rock Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, the future garbage Spider-Man 2074, whatever it was. Which, remember when that dope game came out where you could play as Spider-Man Noir, regular Spider-Man, and the future Spider-Man? That was the worst part of it, was playing as the future Spider-Man. And to me, that character only exists because of Batman Beyond was so successful. And Batman Beyond is by far a better character. So, but you're stuck with that. And that just, with that group tells you, and without Peter Parker in that group, that they wanted to make sure that they got the pat on the back. And it's just, and I don't want to get any more into it, because even if you're telling the truth, it's just going to come off as you being ugly. But they had to check all the boxes. And when you have to check all the boxes and you're doing things in a very clinical, checking everything, just making sure you don't offend people, you're not going to have any kind of good art. And this really isn't art, because it's pretty much CGI. It looks like it's drawn. It's not. It's all CGI stuff. So, the heart of things like that isn't in it, and off top, I can't really get into a lot, and I'm not going to go through the whole movie. You've either seen it or you're going to see it, but I'm not going to get into it, but I can't really get into animated stuff that much anyways, because when you look at a live action movie, actors, they have other actors, they have costumes, they have sets, they have things they can interact off of. When you watch an animated movie being made, they're reading off of a pad, they might have some reference pictures in front of them, so off top, they're at a disadvantage compared to live action movies. And when you have stuff like this, it's just, I just feel like it was Sony accidentally hitting with the first Into the Spider-Verse or whatever it was, the first Miles Morales movie, and them just knowing that they have no idea what they're doing, but they got to make money, so of course they go to one of the few things that they're successful with, Spider-Man related, and they're just going to bleed this to death. Spoiler alert, this ends on a to be continued, so there you go with that. They couldn't even have a contained movie for this. They're gonna keep this going and ruin this, if this movie hasn't already ruined it. But let me see. I just took a couple notes. Spider-Man, check on the boxes. Movie by committee. Okay, so there's a scene that really bothered me in this, and it was the future Spider-Man, the Latin guy. He had to have been voiced by Oscar Isaac, which from now on, and he's already tainted, because when I hear his voice, the first things I think of is Apocalypse from X-Men, Star Wars, and the garbage Moon Knight show. So right then, as soon as you hear the voice, that's like some like whatchamacallit, a Pavlovian response to where I automatically know it's going to be garbage. But he gives Miles Morales some speech about being Spider-Man is about sacrifice. How would you know? That speech should have been given out by Peter Parker, not you. Not him, you know? And again, the fact that Peter Parker isn't a big part of this that's no good. That's not a good thing. It just means nothing to me as a fan when he's saying it. When he's trying to kick Spider-Man knowledge. Like, you're not even Spider-Man. Okay, so through this whole thing, Miles Morales is trying to stop his dad from dying. The police officer. And I don't really know if they gave a good reason why all these different spider people from, like hundreds of them from different multiverses are trying to stop Miles Morales. I think it was just some vague thing like, oh, the whole multiverse will collapse. But, don't pay attention. Let's just keep the story moving. We're not going to get into it. It was just lame. But the lamest part of it, of all these spider people trying to stop Miles Morales, is Peter Parker. It's like, if anybody should be on his side, if you're going to have one person be on Miles Morales' side and understand where he's coming from, it would be him. Because if it wasn't for Uncle Ben dying, you wouldn't have Spider-Man. So Spider-Man understands that pain. But Miles Morales was doing a great job already. If you look at what Spider-Man was doing before Uncle Ben died, he was doing pro wrestling. He was trying to get money. He only cared about himself. Miles Morales wasn't doing that. He was living up to the Spider-Man moniker. So why does his dad have to die? I don't get it. And Peter Parker should have been understanding of that. They should have had Miles Morales and Peter Parker against all the other spider people. But they didn't. They made Peter Parker look like a weak dork, walking around in slippers and a bathrobe, carrying a baby the whole time. It was disgraceful. Again, with this movie, it was like, Multiverse of Madness, to where when you heard about this movie and you just thought about, the potential, what the promise could be of this. And you only got glimpses of all the cool stuff. Just like a Multiverse of Madness, when they were flipping through the different, multiverses, and you see, like, the paint universe and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I want to see that. I want to see that stuff. Show me that. This is post-Avengers world. Post-Avengers Endgame Infinity world. Or Infinity War world. So you can't just hint at these things anymore. You got to put it on screen. That's why I'm looking forward to the Flash movie. We're getting a Nicolas Cage Superman in that. We already seen the Michael Keaton Batman. So stop with all this messing around. Give us what we want to see. And again, Sony is just still. I don't want to hear anybody talk about, oh, well, Sony. It was just, a broken clock is right twice a day. So just stop. And this isn't it. What do I give this movie? 0 to 10 dog bones. It's got a few cool things. There's a real quick glimpse of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in this, which I thought was cool. You get a quick glimpse of Spider-Ham. Again, but this is stuff that I want to see throughout most of the movie. Not just glimpses of. And they didn't give it to us. And I just can't imagine anybody. And I liked the first movie. I remember going into it how I feel now about this movie, to where I was just like, I don't have anything to do. I'm just going to watch this movie. But about 15, 20 minutes into it, I was fully into it. Loved it. But, this ain't it. They should have just left that where it was and maybe did the whole animation style or whole series of movies like this with other characters, but had it within the same universe, I understand Sony really can only do it with Spider-Man related people, but I think with this medium, you'd be able to do things that you couldn't do, in a big budget movie, or that they're not willing to do, I should say. And I think they should have did that route instead of just going back to the Miles Morales, to the Spider-Gwen. And I don't care about Spider-Gwen. Do not care. Stop trying to make me care. I don't care how many shirts you put in Hot Topic. I don't shop at Hot Topic. Do not care. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 0 to 10 dog ones. I'll give it a 3 because, like I said, it had little glimpses of stuff. And I guess if you're absolutely bored and have nothing else to watch, this takes up 2 hours of your time. That's the best. No, the coolest thing about it was Web Slinger. I didn't even know his name till my friend told me about it. But the cowboy Spider-Man with the Spider-Man horse. That's the best. Give me a movie of that. I'm probably the only one that would want it, but give me that. I just didn't think this movie was good. I think it was lackluster. It like wasn't a bad movie. It just was lackluster, and especially if you bring it after what the previous movie was, it's not there. It's not. Somebody in the comment section tell me. I want somebody to expose themselves and be like, pause, and be like, this was a great movie. You don't know what you're talking about, blah blah. You think I like coming out here just talking about stuff that I hate all the time? No, I wanted to like it. It wasn't there. Be honest with yourself. This movie wasn't it. Was not it. This your boy Winston Wolf. Yeah.